Good morning and welcome to the show. It's Medical Monday, and I'm here with Dr. Roman Nation from Nation's Best Family Healthcare here in Lynn Haven on Ohio Avenue and down on Panama City Beach now.
Yes,
welcome,
sir.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Morning.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Autism Awareness Month.
It is.
And I'm seeing a lot about that on the news and the newspapers, and of course we've talked about it on this show as well.
Yep.
And if you're a young mother, and you know how new young mothers are,
Yeah.
they're very nervous. I mean, how do you know? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
once the second and third kid comes around, I think they relax a little more. But
Well, it's
yeah.
it depends because
Yeah.
like in your case, your first son was more normal, but it was your second child that
Right.
that developed autism, and I don't.
and for us, we had a contrast.
Yeah.
Our first child was right on the mark
On
with all
target,
his
right.
milestones, and
Yeah.
then the second guy was a little
Yeah.
troubling.
And we expect things to change between the first child and the second child, just because of how they grow up. Like the first child ends up, because they don't have another child to interact with usually, they end up talking faster, walking faster. They just
That's
develop
true.
faster. And if they're a girl versus a boy, they always develop faster anyway. Girls develop faster than
And that holds true throughout life.
Actually, you're not the only person who has that thought. That's pretty much true.
But how do you identify
But
if you're?
yeah, there's
I
mean, there's lots of things that you can look for in terms of milestones. You know, there's risk factors. Largely are Caucasian families, actually higher socioeconomic class. So basically, parents who have more money, or in some ways, I would say it's related to one of the parental figures or both the parental figures not being as present. That creates an additional risk factor.
Education level has a lot to do with it too. I've
Yeah,
heard.
that's the socioeconomic stuff.
Yeah,
that
I mean, if
talking
you're
about.
higher in education, you have a better chance of having a child with autism, which is
Right.
odd.
So
to me,
there's
yeah.
a lot of concern about that because those are the folks that are also trying to put a lot of effort into fixing it. You know.
Well, Dr. Nation, there's been a lot of, and let's put this to bed now. I know what the literature says, but there's still a lot of people out there that think, well, to go to college, you got to have your vaccinations. You can't get into college unless you get your shots, and that's what's causing autism in these children.
That's interesting. Yeah. That philosophy has been disproven over and over and over again. And
I know there was a Dr. Andrew Wakefield in Britain who had published some articles years back about the MMR,
more than 20 years ago,
which turned out to be a total fraud.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he was discredited, and the article was retracted, and he lost his medical license over the whole thing. I mean, the whole thing was a sham. But this movement for anti-vaccinations has kind of taken that, and it's the same kind of thing that you get with the government conspiracy theory. It's the same kind of psychological phenomenon, is that people need something to blame for whatever's going on in their life. And it needs to be something else other than it's just the way it is.
And it is kind of incidental that you start seeing the symptoms of autism around the time when you get these vaccines as a child.
They well, actually, and as it turns out, they're developing newer techniques now. They're at some of the academic centers. They actually have they do a hearing screen for babies when they first come out to test, make sure that the wiring between the outer ear and their brain is working. And there's a decently sensitive test for that can identify.
Actually, we did the auditory brainstem response test with our son.
Yep.
Because we thought he was deaf.
Yeah.
Early on.
Yeah. And and they now have a newer one that they're developing that looks at the baby's gaze. So when we talk about visual gaze is different with autistic children and versus normal children, and they you can actually identify that well before you ever get any vaccines in them. So
the diagnostics are getting better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The warning signs. I mean, the problem is that there's so many kids out there that are just normal, and then you have worried first mothers versus mothers with nannies and those kinds of things. I mean, there's so many other factors that you can play into that that make it hard to figure out. Well, what do we actually look for? And most of it is developmental milestones. I mean, that's what I tell parents to look for. And what's odd is I've had parents come in whose kids are very clearly not meeting their milestones, but nobody's brought it up to them before.
Holy mackerel.
And so I bring it up to say, well, maybe we should look at this a little deeper. And then we start to
So some moms aren't as nervous as my wife was when she was a first-time
right,
mother.
yeah, and that's and that's always a delicate balance too, is trying to balance things with concern but not worry, and there's a difference.
Well, we have to run off to the local weather. We'll continue this conversation on the other side of the break. Very fascinating stuff. Autism Awareness Month with Dr. Roman Nation. And we'll be right back after your Waking Up with Don weather. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Roman Nation from Nation's Best Family Healthcare in Lynn Haven and Panama City Beach. And today we're talking about autism.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about the early signs.
Yes, sir.
And I know some of the hallmarks are maybe you're sensitive to sound, maybe you're unresponsive to your name when someone calls you back.
Right.
You could be tactilely defensive, where you don't like to be touched or hugged, or some combination thereof. But there are some better tests now, aren't there?
Like I said, there's some visual stimulator tests that they do. So like we were talking about in the break, where they have auditory tests where you localize sound, and then the child can look one direction or the other and get reinforcement from that. There's a similar test now that does that with the visual stimuli, where it's actually, and with the newer technology where they have eye tracking technology, you can actually see where the baby's looking much earlier on before you get into any of the vaccine stuff.
And I guess we know what a normal gaze should be like, what a normal interaction
basically
should
like
be.
when you and I interact with something, if I'm holding my hands here, you watch my hand, and when I go like there and you look to wherever I'm pointing,
right.
that's a normal interaction, and normal babies on both males and females do the same thing. Is when you look at something, they'll make eye contact, they'll look at whatever you're looking at, and then they'll look for wherever that object tracks, and that's normal. But autistic children don't do that. They'll either don't make eye contact, and that's a classic hallmark from that one, but when they go to talk to stuff, or when you go to try to draw their attention to something else, they actually will not track and follow what you're looking at.
And they won't point either.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, if they see something that's interesting, they won't say, "Hey, look." They'll just won't.
Exactly.
That social engagement has somehow gone off the tracks.
That's right. And so there's more research on the hormonal side of things that people are doing. It's not obviously not terribly developed yet, but it's certainly not the vaccines. And for the parents that are extremely nervous about vaccines, get them vaccinated. But if you want to spread it out, there's not a lot of data behind that, but it's certainly better than eliminating the herd immunity that you get from vaccines.
I have heard the argument that you've got this virgin immune system, and it's just being assaulted by these vaccines, particularly when they're in combination, like the DPT, the MMR, all those other things. You can split those up, can't you?
You can split a lot of them up, because typically, at 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, there's a set of 5 vaccines that each baby gets. So if you want to split them apart by a couple weeks at a time, it's fine. Realistically, the pediatrics groups, AAP does not recommend that, nor do they believe in that, because parents don't get it done when they don't get them all done at the same time.
That's true.
And there's no real data to support that if you spread them out, that it's going to decrease your risk.
It's really just for a parent's peace of mind. There's no science behind it.
Most of the times with children, you're treating the parent more than you're treating the child.
Boy, isn't that the truth sometimes? But if you have a doubt about your child's development, see a pediatrician.
You can see the pediatrician. Sometimes it takes longer to have that discussion with them, and if they're busy, there's a lot of resources that you can look at online as far as autism screeners. There's a whole lot of stuff in terms of support groups and things like that. Or, like I said, we do those kinds of talks and evaluations quite frequently for stuff like that. So,
Dr. Roman Nation, Nation's Best Family Healthcare, thanks so much for coming on the show and discussing autism with us during April, Autism Awareness Month.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Aaron Shores from Spine and Neural Pain Specialists here in Panama City and out in Chipley. Welcome back to the show, Doc.
Thank you.
And I see we have Mr. Bones here once again.
Yes.
And, last time you were here, we talked about back pain, and you explained some of the structures of the back and what could cause back pain and how you diagnose that. But as the layman, the quintessential layman that I am, the backbone's connected to the head bone.
True.
Right? True. So sometimes people get headaches.
Correct.
Or maybe neck pain. I mean, what are some of the causes of that?
Well, neck pain and headaches can oftentimes be a very challenging thing to treat, and there's oftentimes not always one simple answer. So there are, just like in the low back, there are many joints in the neck, muscles, tendons, discs that can be a significant pain generator, not only for the neck, but also sometimes headaches can be caused or triggered by issues going on in the neck or the spine that require certain expertise to be able to diagnose.
I'm looking at this long array of structures and bones here. Where exactly does your neck start? I mean, just looks like one big backbone.
Sure. Well, if we set Mr. Bones up here for a minute, the neck usually starts up here, right around this. There's 7 bones in the neck, so it starts up here with the 7th cervical vertebra.
Maybe we turn them
And
this
it
way
goes
and get a
up,
better
maybe
shot
turn
that
back
way.
Yeah,
There you go.
There we go. And there's 7 of them that lead up to the spine, but there are several nerves here. These yellow things on the side are nerves. If we turn them to the side just a little bit, there are several joints here on the side called facet joints. The discs are here in the front, and then surrounding all of this are a series of ligaments and muscles that can also be a source of pain. And then in the neck, there's also the spinal cord, which also can be a significant source of pain if it's...
You often hear the term pinched nerve. I mean, is there really such thing as a pinched nerve, or is that just another layman's term?
No, absolutely there is. And these yellow structures on Mr. Bones here sticking out on the side, those are nerves that come off the neck and run down the arm. So the fuse box for the nerves in the arm actually originate up here in the spine and around the spinal cord. So when you have disc herniations or arthritis that may be narrowing the space where the nerves pops out, that can pinch that nerve and cause some pain in the neck or sometimes down into the arm.
And those type of things happen from what, injuries or just age, or can you twist the wrong way and have something like that happen?
Yeah, all of the above actually. If I lay Mr. Bones down here for a second, yeah, you can have them from trauma. Sometimes just when people get osteoarthritis or different types of arthritis as we get older, that can cause bone spurs and other things which can narrow it. And then certainly trauma can do that. People who get work-related injuries or auto accidents can be predisposed to having injuries to the nerves, which require treatments to help improve.
You heard also another term, a whiplash. What exactly is that? I mean, is that something in the neck or the back? Or
whiplash is more commonly talked about in the neck, and it's kind of a catch-all phrase that's used with auto accidents usually when someone is rear-ended. And what that is there are certain forces that will aggravate the neck that also aggravate joints and the muscle that causes a significant amount of neck pain and sometimes headaches and shoulder pain as well. But there are usually several different more specific issues other than just whiplash that are causing the pain. But whiplash is kind of a catch-all term for neck pain after an injury.
So when in doubt, if you're in a car wreck or whatever, get checked out, I guess would be the best advice.
Absolutely.
And if you're experiencing pain, see your doctor.
Absolutely.
Dr. Aaron Shores from Spine and Neural Pain Specialist here in Panama City and in Chipley, thanks so much for coming on the show and bringing Mr. Bones along.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Christina Williams from Superior Residences here on Panama City Beach. And Superior Residences, if people who don't know, is a assisted living facility, brand new.
Brand new.
On Panama City Beach.
Correct. Brand new resort-style senior living community that offers assisted living and memory care. We're brand new. We will start moving residents in around April the 1st.
Now, people have already purchased or signed up
Reserved.
for, or reserved, that's the proper word, to live in some of those apartments that you have there.
Yes, sir.
So there's still some available. There
is, yes, sir. We are booking up quickly. People are very excited about our community. We have over 50% already pre-reserved, but we are still have plenty of room and are excited to welcome anyone who might be interested in our community.
Now, what if you're an elderly person who may be watching this right now, and you're like, well, do I really need an assisted living? I mean, how do you make up your mind?
Well, there's a lot of things to consider. We talk about the pros and cons of moving in with us or staying at home. And if anyone's interested, they can go to our website, superioralf.com. And one thing that's really important is the cost. Everybody always asks, how much is this going to cost me?
Well, sure, yeah.
Absolutely, money's important. And you work hard for your money and you don't want it to be wasted. But we have a cost comparison calculator where someone can go in and put in their monthly expenses, phone, cable, internet, homeowners insurance, yard man fees, pool fees, any fees that they have associated with their home that they pay on a monthly basis versus the rent for us. And see where they would end up and what might be more cost effective.
And the older you get, the more expensive things kind of become, because I have elderly parents, and my dad used to be able to do everything around the house. Well, now he's getting up there in age and he can't.
Right.
He can't shovel snow because they live in New York. I mean, he can't do a lot of those things he used to kind of take for granted.
Absolutely. And with us, it's one of the things we say, it's all the comforts of home without any of the hassle. We do your laundry, we clean your room, we keep up the yard. There's no yard to keep up. It's just, we change the light bulbs, we change the air filters, any of the maintenance things that the residents need, we take care of.
And then they give you whatever medical care you need as well. If
Yes,
you
sir.
need some sort of visiting nurse or whatever, you've got a whole medical staff right there to take care of you.
Absolutely. And what's so great about us with our licensing level, we can give someone as little support or as much support as they need. They can move in with us very having great health, just might need some assistance occasionally. And then if they decline or a disease process takes place, they can stay with us and age in place because we have an extended license level that lets them
just
stay
because
with
you
us.
get sick doesn't mean you have to move.
Correct.
I mean, you can
and you
stay
stay
there.
in your own apartment. I've had several people come in that think they move to a different part of the building as they get sicker, and that's not the case. You move into your apartment, and that is your apartment until you don't want it anymore.
You know, on the tour that I took there, what impressed me the most is that it's not just an old man or an old lady, and I say that with great respect. Couples are moving in there as well, where one's maybe in relatively good health and one needs more care, but one can't take care of the other anymore because of the age.
Absolutely. We have quite a few couples moving in, and like you said, it's typically one spouse needs a little bit more assistance than the other, and they just don't want to be by themselves anymore. And they can do that because our community is such a resort style, and it feels like home, that the spouse who is still in pretty good health doesn't feel like they're moving into an assisted living or institution.
Besides just going to your website and doing that whole checklist, I think there was some intangibles like, you know, having friends, having a community of people rather than just being in your home. And, you know, we're so out of time, it's not funny, but it's always good to talk with you about this because as we get older, you know, we're going to be looking out for our parents and grandparents here.
Absolutely.
Christina Williams, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I have my friend Randy Akins here in the studio from 5L Fitness at a Tyndall Air Force Base gym and also at Impact Fitness here in Callaway.
Yep.
Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we got some, I guess some health tips, but I do have to ask you a question. I know a while back, we talked about New Year's resolutions, right?
Right.
Has the herd kind of thinned out now with all the resolution people kind of
Well,
dropping by the wayside?
January is a great month for the fitness industry.
Yeah.
In general, you know, all of the companies know that people are going to want to start a new life or do whatever it is. That
I'm turning over a new leaf, darn it. 2015 is
Right.
my year to lose
Right.
this weight and get in shape.
And now that it's April, it's back to normal. So
you saw a lot of new faces in the gym, January, February, I suppose.
and now all the old standards are back, and a lot of people just kind of fell to the wayside.
Yeah. So it's really the committed people remain.
Yes. And the thing about New Year's resolutions is it's a good time of the year to make a change, but the fact that everybody knows that people are ready to make a change kind of makes it a little bit predatory.
Oh, yeah.
So gyms, a lot of the big gyms like the Planet Fitnesses and things like that are all over the place kind of really market to that, and then they get your money, and then you no
don't show
longer
up.
Exactly. And then for the rest of the year, you end up paying for something that you're not using.
Yeah. So they make that big marketing pitch around, you know, the holidays.
Right.
You may even get a gym membership as a gift at Christmas.
That's
Who
true.
knows?
That's true. And then somebody else's money is gone now.
And it's gone and you're not using it.
Right.
But you do, I guess you can make a resolution any time of year.
And that's the
Yeah.
exact point that I was trying to make with that too. You know, people think that New Year's is the best time. You really need to find the best time for you. So if New Year's isn't good because, you know, you got to get your taxes done and all of this other stuff, then this time of the year is perfect. There's nobody in the gym right now. Yeah. So come on out and you can have access to whatever you need. You know,
Or you get ready for summer too.
That's true.
That's
That's
another
true.
thyou know, especially for the ladies, you know, and they think, oh, it's bikini weather and stuff like that.
And that's a good goal to have too. And another thing about New Year's resolutions is you really need to sit down and do some reflecting if you have a New Year's resolution every year. If your New Year's resolution is to get in shape every year, then at some point during the year, something didn't work right.
That's right.
You know, because you should be able to stay in shape if you do.
So, you know, I guess what you probably should do if you're going to make a resolution, doesn't have to be around New Year's,
no.
any time of year.
Yes.
Springtime's a great time.
Perfect time.
I mean, it's kind of the rebirth of everything. You
Yeah,
know,
weather's
flowers are
good.
blooming, birds are singing, weather's getting nice.
That's
and
it. That's it.
Summer's
That's a good
around the
analogy.
corner, and you know, you want to, you know, get yourself reborn once again. And I guess we can talk to Pastor Randy over here. All the time.
No, too
No,
much.
don't do
I'm
that.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
But either way, you know, if somebody wanted to figure out how to get in shape, you know, and what would work for them, something that's sustainable, you would put a program together for them, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be what everybody thinks it is. You know, if you like to play basketball, then we can build it around basketball. Or if you like to golf and you want to work on getting your golf swing better, you can also incorporate the rest of you know, your fitness goals into that regime.
You know, and you're absolutely right, because, you know, golf, you don't think of it as being really athletic, but it is. Anybody who's done 18 holes knows.
It's one of the most
it
athletic
wipes you
sports
out,
there are.
you know?
Absolutely, and it's a lot of core involved with golf. So if your core is not strong, you're not going to be a good golfer.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff. So make that resolution any time of year.
Any time of year.
And see Randy at 5L Fitness if you want to make that resolution and make a sustainable resolution.
It's all about sustainability.
Not
Don't
one.
commit to something that you're not going to follow through with.
Wise advice, Randy Akins from 5L Fitness. Thanks so much for coming on the show, and always a
Thank you,
pleasure to
John.
see you, my friend.
Good to see you.
And we'll see you next time. Get to the gym.